5.5 Properties of isosceles triangles. So we've learned that an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides. What also happens is that across from the sides, since the side lengths are the same, their angles will be the same. So in this picture, I want you to label that this angle and this angle are called the base angles. They will always be congruent, which means it's got an equal with a curly sign above it. That means that they will be the same measurement. This angle up here will be different. That's called the vertex angle. Okay, so again, because these two sides are congruent, the angles across from them that they open up into are going to be congruent. So then you also have, this would be called the base. These are the legs. You might hear that terminology sometime. All right, number 1, it says in triangle UVW, UV is congruent to WU. So let's start with thinking of these must be the legs that are congruent. They both have the letter U in them. Since they share that, that must be up here at the vertex. So that's what I use to help me draw my triangles. So I'll call this V and this W. So UV is congruent to WU, make little tick marks. The measure of angle W is 51 degrees. Find the measure of angle U and V. Okay, so if these two sides are congruent, then these two angles are congruent. So this must also be 51 degrees. So I'll put the measure of angle V equals 51. And then all I have to do is take 180 minus 51 minus 51, or minus 2 times 51, which will leave me with 78. Oh, I put, I need U. All right, number 2, we have another triangle called NOP. NO and PN are congruent. So stop right there and see that they both have an N in common. So that would be our vertex. And I always draw my triangles the same. The vertex at the top, that helps me. So we'll call this O and this P. These are congruent, so mark them so that I know already these angles will be congruent, the base angles. Measure of angle N is 101 degrees. Find the measure of angle P. This time they're giving me the vertex angle. So what I can do is take 180 minus 101, and I'll write this down so you can have it for your notes. That leaves me with 79 degrees for these two angles, which are congruent. So I just need to divide that number by 2, and that will tell me that the measure of angle P equals 39.5 degrees. O would also be 39.5 degrees. And the last one, in the triangle VWX, we have that angle W is, this is supposed to be congruent, couldn't find a symbol that had an equal sign there, is congruent to angle V, and then it tells us XV equals 13, VW equals 8, find WX. Okay, so it's telling me the two angles that are congruent. Those would be my base angles. So let's go ahead and make our triangle. I'll just call this angle W, and this angle V. So this one's actually even easier to draw. So this must be X up here. Then they tell me that X to V is a length of 13. V to W is a length of 8. So this is pretty easy. Find WX. Well, WX is this side. Since this is a base angle, this side will be congruent to this side. So if this is 13, then this is 13. Pretty simple.